What's going on, Salty Hippo Nation? It's your boy, the head advocate of the Big Titty Committee of 69 Whiskey.
Did somebody say titties?
And the undercover brother of the Bro Migos podcast, Matt here. And it's time for my boys, B-Word and the Hater, to help you get sanitized. This is the Bleach Brothers podcast.
Welcome into the Bleach Brothers podcast. This is Jake with my friend B-Word. I'm bringing it in, B-Word.
How come I'm not your good buddy?
Because you use that, and I can't use what you use. It's sort of like I don't like when when people use the same word twice as like an adjective, right?
Like an ATM
in the same
machine.
sentence. Yeah.
So you have the automated teller machine.
Yeah,
or like
that.
VIN number,
that's stupid.
like vehicle identification number.
Yes, that type of stuff really pisses me off. Now, an ATM machine on a woman does not. I'm all about that ass to mouth, baby. But speaking of, no, that's the whole point of this episode tonight. B-Word, I wanted to do something to let the hate flow through you. I wanted you to embrace, because you've made me embrace being the hater again. Because we've talked about this a little bit on the show, but I hated that moniker for a while.
Did.
Like I grew to hate it, right?
Yep.
So I'm going to use it. Here's the thing. You're going to make me do something I just said I hate. I hated being the hater. And so you helped me re-embrace that.
Okay.
And live that out. And the fans, it's funny, some fans hate me, some fans love me, some fans don't understand me.
I like the ones that just
some of
push
them aren't
your
even
buttons
fans.
and like get under your skin.
Yeah, like today, people were messaging me if I'm going to watch one of the greatest movies ever, Draft Day, and it's a new tradition now. So fuck them; they can suck my dick.
Shout out to Ben from Jake and Ben Day on that one. That was pretty funny. I got a good chuckle from that.
What's going on before we get into all the hate and the Sith Lordness and whatever else we want to call it? How's your week been, buddy? What's going on? What do you have coming? You have some things going on.
Are we doing the dads on Dayquil thing right here? We having a dad moment?
No, we're not doing a dad. No, I'm not asking for dad stories. I'm not stealing from another show. I wanted you to talk about things that you got going on and like do some little banter, because here's the thing. I'm going to banter all evening about just fucking monockery, just angry shit. So I figured I'd let you get it out and be a little happy before we dive into the cesspool that I'm going to bring us into.
Yeah. So for those that haven't been paying attention or for those that new listeners, I was in college all the way up until fall of last year, and I graduated college, and actually I'm heading out of town this weekend. So when you hear this episode, I will have already walked and graduated at my college back east. My mom and my dad and my brother and my daughter are all coming out to support me, and we're going to go explore and see shit that we haven't seen before. So that's going to be kind of cool. I am going to go see the Salem witch stuff, which really reminds me of you, because I feel like back in the day you would have been known as a witch or a warlock, and I feel like you probably would have had some sort of letter branded into you. That letter might be the letter D.
Big old D.
Yeah. It might be actually a lowercase d. You're just a lowercase douchebag,
Well, you said it's in me, so I figured.
Well, yeah. Compared to you,
Well,
it's all lowercase.
I thought I would have been the guy pointing the finger at all the witches, like the guy in the crowd, like, nope, hate that neighbor, he's burning tomorrow, and then going over to your house, and you'd be like, Jake, you need to.
If you were
burn
some
half the
like,
village, knock it
if
off.
you were like some Puritan leader, I could totally see that. I just don't see you as a Puritan leader. Not to say that you don't have leadership skills. I just don't think that you would be the leader, because like you will have killed everybody. Like it would be one of those Deadpool kills the MCU. Or,
right.
Hulk.
What's wrong with that?
Well, I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. But once you kill everybody.
I'm Deadpool with a lowercase d.
But once you kill everybody, like there's no record that's not in third person. Like you would have a first person.
You.
Like, oh, I get that. But you would have like some first person record. You'd be like, and I did this. And all of a sudden we have this different English language because nothing's spelled correctly.
Oh, dude, can you imagine if I like wrote record books?
No,
like
I
because
can't.
you read my text and the fans, like, thank God you do all the posts for the show majority, because Dude, I'll say this. I type really fast.
Yeah.
Like I can answer like quick and when I can bury a conversation,
Oh, yeah.
but it's like, yeah, it's a train
Well,
wreck
both Gnome and I have to take screenshots of shit in our Hateful Gnome discussion because like, especially if you know that you're going to bury it, like we just have to grab it right then and there. We're never going to see it again. And actually yesterday,
or if it's a bad day.
Yeah. Or if it's a bad day. Or yesterday you responded to the wrong chat because we're in like, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 different chats. You responded to the wrong chat with a rundown idea. And I hadn't even seen it because that chat got so buried. And then you go, well, scroll up, motherfucker. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I would say to you. So fuck off.
Right. Here's my favorite thing, B-word. Lately, I've been saying what you would say to me. And the thing is, I'm doing it like, I'm going to get him. And more, you're just like, no, it's not going to, I'm still going to say that shit to you, Jake. Just fuck off right now.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Like it's backfiring. It's backfiring in my face.
You have the patience of a gnat, and I'm willing to wait it out.
That's true. So speaking of, so it's all about hate tonight. It's get on the hate train. That's right. FTGK, everything that I enjoy, like the joy of ruining everything else, burying conversations, seeing fans do the hooded cobra and cry during games. We're going to talk about all that. But a main question was, B-word, we've talked on this show before, and we've been friends since second grade. And if you go to our website, you'll see a little picture of both of us as little cherub fucks, right?
Yep.
And I wasn't always a hater.
No.
I was a friendly little dude. And it's mainly because I wasn't allowed to hate growing up. And so I want to get into that for myself, but were you? And what I mean by that was like, was hate like almost like a bad word in your house? Like, because if we said it, my mom would be like, you can't say that. Like, you just dislike something so much.
Yeah, I think, but honestly, I think that that's probably in most households that you try to at least raise your children to appreciate things more than not appreciate things. So I think from just a general aspect, yeah, hate was probably not something that was encouraged. I don't know that we had things that were broadcast to us like today. As an example, our friend of the show, Aaron from I Had to Say It, we talk about our hatred for pedophiles, right? And how we'd like to see them in a wood chipper. I don't really recall any of those conversations when I was a kid. And that's not to say that there weren't any pedophiles around. I just think that that it wasn't as broadcast as it was before. And then, talking about politicians, we didn't have as divisive of politicians, at least in the forefront that we have now. And so, both parties really fucking suck. And I don't really care which party you like or don't like. They all suck. And that's the type of world we live in. So I can say that I hate politicians, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I hate one politician in general. So I guess it's kind of like that. I mean, if I were to say I hate a politician, I'm hating Hillary Clinton, and I don't care which one of our subscribers or viewers or listeners voted for Hillary Clinton, that she's a bad human. She's an absolute bad human. There's other bad humans that are out there. You and I, on our stain remover, we make fun of politicians to a certain extent, and we don't play partisan. Like every politician is getting made fun of, and I think that's the reason is because they're easy to hate, they're easy to dislike, they're easy to say, yeah, you're not a good person. And so I guess I would say, just to answer your question directly, I was raised in a household where I couldn't really hate things but I also wasn't like told explicitly not to hate things. Like I remember telling either my dad or my mom, I don't remember who it was, when I was mad at him, I said, I hate you. And then I remember their face and how that felt to them. And that actually pained me to see them in that pain. And so I guess as a kid, I was compassionate to be like, well, I'm never going to say that again.
All right. Do you feel that social media is a big component in this? Because like we can voice everything on our mind at all times. Like I remember we've talked about it where we go through that douchebag phase where it's like, I'm going to write that I'm eating toast for dinner tonight, and I got 8 likes because 8 people liked that I ate toast tonight. Like, but also the fact that everybody can block each other or point out and be a fucking like scientist all of a sudden or a political advisor or whatever. And I think that makes it more divisive because like when we were kids, your parents had groups, like sort of we had groups of friends, right? And they could talk shit or go back and forth and get along with people on the other side or not. And I think that was as decisive as it got. You know what I mean? Like they'd all see each other at the baseball game, like if we were all on teams, and there might be some parents that don't get along, but it was pretty out in the open, just with the neighborhood, I guess, rather than the worldwide transmission we have now, which I think has made it more, as you're saying, more divisive and more accessible to hate.
I guess you're with social media, you're taking a peek into people's closets. And I don't mean that literally. I just mean that you're seeing things that people are willing to broadcast that you might not agree with or you might not have known. And that creates this perception of an individual, or positive or negative, right? So I do think that social media is that avenue, or that tool, if you will, to expose people. And not saying to expose somebody like, in the form of cancel culture, but I guess, like, look at the 2020 election or look at the 2016 election. How many people posted on Donald Trump this, Hillary Clinton that, Joe Biden this, whatever else, right? And I found myself reading people's posts and disagreeing with them wholeheartedly and questioning, why am I friends with this person? And it wasn't like, I didn't feel like I had to terminate the relationship. It wasn't something that I had to block them. I hate the block button on social media, but it was something where I just unfollowed them. Like, I just didn't, I don't want spam of bullshit in my feeds. And now, to this day, I'm not on social media all that often. Like, I help schedule the posts and do that sort of stuff, but really that's about it. And if I have something to say, I'll post it, but I really could care less about anybody's reaction, if that makes sense.
No, it does, because like during that time, I don't know if you remember, I had family members that went off on me because I posted something on just a profile picture of my political standing at that moment, and just seeing how people were just trying to rip me and go back and forth. Or I never knew this. It's like, well, one, who cares? Mind you, I look back and going, why did I even do that? Right. Because me, it's not that I'm afraid to say my political leanings, but it was like just at the moment. There was a lose-lose because, I come from an area that's one side and I live in an area that's a different side. So no matter where I am, I'm just, in that bed. Right. But growing up for me, I was never allowed to say hate. And I'm not trying to get in that therapy session like, oh, that caused me. Like, I wasn't allowed to listen to Marilyn Manson, so I listened to Marilyn Manson, which is a true story. But it's the point that, like, I remember my mother always being like, you don't hate something, you dislike it. I'd be like, no, I really hate it. And like, the older I got, the more I just let it out, because I think it's an important emotion. Like, I side with the Sith, right, as a joke with Star Wars, but I think that you need a counterbalance in all of life. Like, I've always been a pessimist, right? Right. And my joke I would always tell people is, you need a negative into the battery to make it work. So, girl, if you want your like when I usually argue with girls at the bar, if you want your vibrator to work, you need both ends. So calm down. So it's one of the.
Sorry, I'm more of a Mog. I'm more of a half man, half dog. I'm my own best friend. I'm barf off of Spaceballs, and the reason why I say this is because my tail wags. I'm along for the ride. I might have an opinion. I might not like, Pizza the Hut, but at the end of the day, like, I'm still in it for the coin that I'm going to get for delivering, the package or whatever it is. So, I don't know, not to interrupt you there, but I do see your upbringing, because we've known each other all our lives, basically. I do see how that has also influenced you into becoming the hater, because for a long time you were told almost militarily how to think, what to do, what your opinion should be, et cetera, so forth. Whereas I didn't really have that. Like, what I was told was, you can't listen to music that has parental advisory warnings. So what did I do? I listened to music that had parental advisory warnings. And then when I get caught, I'd get in trouble. And then I'd get my music taken away. And then somehow I would acquire more music with
the parental advisory.
Yeah. So, I mean, I hated that, but right. it wasn't a thing.
Yeah. I grew up in a very strict military Christian household. And it's not that I'm against any. I love the military. I love God. You know what I mean? I go to church every Sunday. We've talked about that, but I grew up in that very type of upbringing. And, I played sports. I guess you could call it. I was like that I don't know, Beaver. We were like a poor Leave It to Beaver family. Like, we had those, like, you know what I mean? Like, in the sense, like, yeah. You remember, I grew up, like, I was a square for a long time, and okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. But no, that was the main reason too. My mom, especially with that big Christian upbringing, was like, you can't hate people. You have to love everybody, and have this like compassion and all that. And for me, I was just like, no, there is enough in the world that sucks. And what is the problem with having that feeling?
And it's funny too, because people will be like, well, you can't hate Hitler, right? And it's like, but why not? Why can't you hate Hitler? Well, you can hate what he did, but you can't hate the person. Well, the person was the person who did all the treacherous things. Like he woke up and chose violence. Like you're allowed to hate him for that reason.
He was a dick.
Yeah. So, like I think it was Kanye who came out that said that he loves Hitler or something. Regardless, it doesn't really matter. But your point is there. Do you feel like you rebelliously became the hater? Do you feel like that was your origin there of why you took it to this level?
No, like I said, not the therapy moment. I think though, I just realized one, I'm always been, people have labeled me as a contrarian. So whenever I'm in a situation, I've always been comfortable being the outsider. Like it's worked very well for me in like the corporate world, right? B-word. Because I'm the asshole in the meeting that tells people why it might not work, even though I come up with a plan. Mm-hmm. Like I prepare for the worst, right? And I always tell them, like, I'm not hoping that this fails or anything, but we can't just say, oh, we're launching this new program and everything's gonna be fucking rainbow and sunshine. Okay, have we thought of this? Have we thought of that? You know what I mean? I'm like that bad engineer, just telling you all the flaws and the problem.
Right.
And I could be wrong too. So no, I don't think that, but I'm very comfortable in those situations. I don't mind rubbing people the wrong way against the grain. I don't mind pushing buttons. I mean, everywhere I live, right? Like I live up here and I hate the Oregon Ducks, right? And I live in the bed of it. And I get into it with those fans all the time. It'd be very easy for me to argue with Cowboy fans in Dallas when they're everywhere, but you know what I mean? It's not like I'm living in Dallas dealing with that. It's like when I argue with people going, why do you hate the Golden Knights so much? You're from Vegas. Well, fuck you. I don't care. And if I lived there, I would be even louder than I am now.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm one of those people with the comfort of those situations, but I also feel people have always edited themselves so much and they don't really like let it be known.
Right.
Like, because we've talked about, I love people who know who they are.
Yeah.
I love sluts. I love assholes. I like people that come out and just say, this is who I am, because it's a very genuine thing. And you have described me as that to multiple people. Mm-hmm. Like,
you're authentic.
Jake's a hurricane. You might not like this, but at least you know what you get. And I'm very forthcoming and honest with you. I'm never going to lie. I'm a bad liar. I'm not going to lie to you, but I'll just tell you if this pisses me off or I don't like this.
Right.
And the other thing is though, B-word, out of all of it though, even with all the hate, I can admit when I'm wrong. And when I'm wrong, it sucks and it might take a little bit, but we'll talk it through.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I've learned, like why this isn't such a problem to me and why people can't let it out. Now, am I just going and hating people for no damn reason? No. Cause like, that's a funny thing about it. And you've seen it where fans have argued, and I'm just going to bring it up again because it's a perfect example right now because the playoffs are happening. But how much hatred I spread for the Golden Knights, right? I mean, it is a little bit of a joke, but it is the fact that I do hate the team. And when people ask me, I actually have valid answers behind it, and I can post them out and go through it and have validity. And I think people are confused by that because most of the time you hear people I hate chocolate. Well, why? I don't know. I just hate it. And that's usually the typical answer is I don't know. There's a difference when people actually have the reasoning behind it that I appreciate more. Right. That's a more authentic thing. And so I have found myself voicing my opinion more in life over things I disagree with than agree because I think it's an easy answer.
Right.
Like if you're on a bus in a morning, B-word, and somebody walks up to you and they're like, hey, how's your day? And you go, good. Most of the time, the conversation's over. The world does not thrive on, optimistic happiness all the time. Not saying that they're not happy or happy, but all right, how often the same thing happens on a bus and you say you have a bad day? How often out of either of those are they going to ask you more about it? So if they say, how's your day? And you say, oh, it's great. Most of the time it's like, oh, that's cool. Good for you. But if you say bad, why is it bad? Tell me why it's bad. Let's get into it. Let's dig deeper. And so I'm the person that really wants to delve deeper into that thought process rather than just oh yeah, everything's great. And I think the world thrives on it and it's easier to have a conversation.
I think that when people are talking about something that is optimistic, like I'm having a good day, I'm more willing to have that conversation with them. But when somebody says, oh, my day fucking sucks, if I don't care about you, I'm like, okay, have a good day. and then I just walk off. Like
I
if
agree.
you have a bad day, I'm gonna be like, hey man, what's up? What's going on? You know, something you want to talk about it? You want to do whatever? But you know, if it's somebody that I can care less, I'm just like, okay, well, fuck off. Have a good day. See you later.
Well, and that's another aspect of emotion, right? With closeness, right?
Yeah.
Like of empathy. Like I have found the older I've gotten, the smaller my circle is. And I think that's true for most people.
Mhm.
I mean, would you agree
yeah.
that it's not just because people fall off or this and that, but you start to grow out of things or realize this is important or that's not important, or who do I really want to spend my time with and talk to? And all those things occur. And so, yeah, if you say it, of course, we're going to probably have a deeper conversation. However, though, even just with us, there could be those days where it's like we might not dig as deep into it more.
Right.
So I don't know. That's a thought process. But the next thing I wanted to get into with you is, and I know this is going to be easy for me, so I sort of wanted to bring it to you first, was the top 10 things you hate. But before we do that, we made a post for our fans, and I wanted to read one person's whole post because it was so long, and I could not expect anything better from good buddy of the show, Aaron, from the I Had to Say It podcast. And so you posted, you know, what are the things you hate the most? And he wrote politicians, celebrities, 90% of Gen Z, virtue signaling, white saviors, victim mentality, people who work out in Crocs, EV owners, Fauci, lobbyists, gun grabbers, SJWs, people who eat pizza with a fork, people who smother their fries in ketchup, bigots, racists, termites, people who order a well-done steak, social media influencers, people who fold the corner of their books, people who CrossFit and won't shut up about it, people who sit on machines at the gym on their phones, people who do photo shoots while working out, stupid people, ugly people that think they're cute, body positivity, ableist, people who think timeouts work, victim blamers, rapists, pedos, fear mongers, alarmists, mainstream journalists, people who support cashless bonds and light sentences for career criminals, hipsters, and the fact that Twitter still doesn't have an edit button, corporate cronyism. What does that word be?
Cronyism.
Cronyism. What does that even mean?
It means that you have a select group of people that are in it for themselves.
Yeah, fuck them too. All the alphabet organizations, social media companies, old people that don't know when it's time to hang it up, people who say supposedly, and the Golden Knights. I could not agree. I could not agree with that whole list more. So thank you, Aaron, for that. I'm glad I got to read the whole thing because I saw
what was
it.
That
I saw
on?
one. Twitter.
Oh my God, I didn't even see it.
No, and here's the best part, because you interacted with the first one when we wrote it, and you put a horse in it, you know, the meme where it says, I love this post. And then he kept going and going and going. And I just went, oh, letting the hate flow. I fucking love it. And I love that he ended it with the Golden Knights, because as a true NHL fan, anybody that knows any better knows to say, fuck that team. But Aaron, thank you for that. So B-word, I know it's hard to compete with that, but could you tell me probably the top 10 things in your life that you just hate? And they could be like simple, like working out in Crocs or something like that. But like, do you have a list?
No, I don't, because you told me to come up with one. And honestly, I don't know that I let things affect me that much to hate them that much. I will say that I hate certain sports teams. I hate Bay Area, California fans. I hate most people from California. Not in a sense where, like, you know, individuals, but just the populace. I don't like, I don't know. I don't like liars. I think out of just from people, I just hate liars. Like, you could say whatever you want if it's true, but the moment you lie about it, like, you're a fucking douchebag. I don't know what else I hate, dude. I really don't.
You gave me 4.
I know.
You gave me 4, and what I hope out of this, and I knew this would happen, B-word, because one, I knew a few possibilities here. I knew one, if I gave you 10, you'd be like, I might have 5. And then 2, if you actually came with a list, you're like, there's no reasonable order with this.
Yeah.
But, you know, I guess, and then I guess, like, when you open up, and we'll get into it later with sports team, because that's got to be its whole own fucking segment. But you could be like, this team I probably hate more than this team. Like, I think you could
I've got
rank
a good ranking
the NFC
for that.
East
Absolutely.
Exactly. But for me, like, my list is actually in order, like everything in my life, right? Like, I have a spectrum of hatred, and like, there are levels of how angry I get depending on what it is. And the easiest one for me is number 1 is uni. which is like number 10. So the least favorite thing. Uni, I fucking hate. I hate that dish. It's overpriced. It's pretentious. It doesn't taste good. There's nothing redeemable about it. It's one of those foods that people... Uni is sea urchin, you know, those little purple prickly freaking things on the bottom of the oceans. Gonads.
Oh.
And so it is like the most expensive. When you go out for sushi, you'll see it on the menu. You'll see the price. You'll be like, why? And then order it one time, B-word. And I want to hear after you eat this if the hatred would join with me on that, because it's one of those things I hate when chefs, another part of it, say something's an aphrodisiac. Because all it is them trying to get you to eat something that you probably never would eat. And then to tell you, oh, it'll make your girlfriend horny. And I'm going to tell you right now, it will not. It will not make your girlfriend want to have sex with you, your wife, or anybody. It will not make you want to have sex because you're eating something that doesn't taste that great, that makes your stomach feel weird and you're too full. You know what? You know what food makes you want to fuck? Ice cream or soup. That's it. Unless you're lactose intolerant, don't eat chowder and don't eat ice cream. But that's it. You need something light.
Else your poop
you need something
really.
That's true. But that's the point. Uni sucks. I hate it. I had it one time where a chef did it to me on purpose, knowing me spouting out my hatred. And that's one thing I want to say, B-word. I have spouted out my hatred for all the internet to hear and everybody all the damn time, right? That people get me back on it. And I can take it just as much as I give it. And I was on a date and he sent it as the amuse-bouche. And when I looked to the kitchen, it was one of those open concept kitchens. I just see him and the whole staff laughing at me. Like, haha, fuck this guy. And I just flipped him off when she looked down at her plate. And then she went, aren't you going to eat it? I went, yes. Yes, I'm going to eat this piece of shit gonad real quick. And it's not because it's gonad. It just sucks, B-word. So that's my number 10. Okay. Number 10 is that.
Hey, we've spent 3 minutes on your number 10. Let's.
I told you. I think you were worried when I wrote this rundown. You're like, how are we going to fit this? And it's like, no, dude, this could be a whole hater expose, bro.
Well, let me know if we got to take a break in the middle of it, maybe.
Oh, we will. So the next one is fans of teams that change like the wind. And what I mean is you've had that friend who's a Yankees fan, and then all of a sudden he's a Niners fan, and then they lose, and he's like, oh, well, this guy got drafted to the Titans, so all of a sudden I'm a Titans fan. And my grandma grew up in Jacksonville, so now I'm a Jaguars fan. You know what I mean? Yeah. So those people just piss me off. That's an easy one to get out of the way because I think we all can agree that we hate those people. It's not as much as Uni, but it's next. The next one is pretentious restaurants. And there is nothing worse than when you go to a place and it's because pretentious restaurants are always that mid-level. Like they want to have the high check count,
right?
But they're not quite there. So what do? They hire wait staff that are douches. They bring you too much water. They overfold napkins, like all those little details that go into it. And then you get treated like shit. The food was mediocre and you overspent the bill. We've all experienced it and is the absolute worst. The next one is fat girls that are loud and want too much attention.
That was a great pause that you had.
It was because I
pause.
And what I mean, B-word, is and you know this, I like thick chicks. I'm a big fan of twins. I'm a big fan of cellulite surfing, slapping that inner thigh and riding the first wave in. But fat girls that are obnoxious just to get attention piss me off. And there could be dudes too. There could be. But I've never really met a lot of dudes that are really big that just are loud at karaoke fucking bars and won't leave you the fuck alone. Like you've been out. You've been out and there's that uggo thick queen that's over there with her friends. You're trying to talk to the other one and she wants to be like, we're not going to talk to you. I'm not fucking trying to talk to you. I'm trying to talk to your friend. And I didn't know you had your hand up her ass and you're fucking the Muppet keeper. So shut the fuck up there, fatty, and go eat a mayonnaise sandwich, suck my dick and go away. That's like, they just bother me.
That's why you always have a dude in your crew who's the grenade jumper.
The Grenado, the cow tipper.
Yep. He jumps on it for you and everybody else has a good time.
Yeah, the problem is if she won't shut up. If she's like follow the bouncy ball, like when you try to sing along, she's just nonstop, just everywhere you go. There she is.
There was
like we're all going to the bathroom together. Great for like they're like megaphones. They just announce everything. And guess what, ladies? There could be skinny ones that are just annoying, but I've always found it to be the ones that want more attention are the ones that don't get attention, so they won't shut the fuck up.
There's a sing-along video that was popular when I was a kid that had Pocahontas in it, and you know how you had that little. I don't think it was Jiminy Cricket, but it was somebody else who was like leading it. He called her Park Your Carcass, not Pocahontas. It was Park Your Carcass. And I just thought that was funny. So when you said singing the bouncing ball, that's where I thought. So anyway, next.
Dumb people on escalators. So there's nothing worse than when you're riding an escalator, down or up, doesn't matter, down or up, because there's always this asshole. And here's the thing, you're going to think about it now, B-Word, and you're going to remember this asshole. There's always those people that are in front of you, and they look around like they don't know, and then they get off, and they just stop right when the moving stairs stop. And then you run into them and they turn around like you're the jerk. It's like you've had like 30 seconds to figure out where you're going to go or be a normal person. And when the stairs stop moving, you go, oh, I probably should move my feet.
Right.
Because nobody is like, unless like you're in a really, really, really crowded place, nobody's like up on the next step right behind you. Like, you give that little space. You see somebody get on the escalator, you're like, all right. And then you let like 2 steps go by and then you get on. Right. So you're like, okay, you have a 2-step variance. You have 30 seconds. You have all the time to look around and figure out where you're going. Instead, they just stop and they go, oh, where am I? Where do I go? Where do I go? I don't know where to go. I worked at Nordstrom right in front of the escalator. And I think that's why this hatred grew. I just saw it all fucking day, just morons going down the escalator and just stopping, and then people running into them, and then them dumbfounded even more, going, why are people running into me? You fucking idiot.
I love it. I do love the fact that, when old ladies bring their walkers on an escalator, like that's hilarious. That's hilarious to me. I feel terrible by the time that they end up on the ground. But
would you rather an old lady's walker get stuck or a kid's jeans?
Kids' jeans, 100%.
That kid's losing their pants.
As I've gotten older, dude, I don't like kids. I'm just not a big fan.
No,
just not a big fan of kids. Like I like your kids, and I like people's kids who like I know, but just kids in general. Like no, I'd much rather see them.
So now we got number 5.
Yeah.
See, we're adding to your list, B-Word. This is what I like to hear. The next one is Facebook polls and posts, and what I mean are those posts are because you have this moron friend. Everybody does. And go look at your feed later tonight. But there's going to be this asshole like people with bigger butts are higher and intelligent. And then that girl's like, look, I have a big butt. I'm so fucking smart. Look, there's a study. Or people that drink. It's always the same thing. People that drink too much are smarter. Or people with vulgar language are always smarter. Like, where are the dumb people? Why don't they ever say people with bigger butts are dumber? Like, I want to see those posts. But it's always that. And that same friend is doing 3 things. They're doing that. They're telling you way too much about their life, like eating toast in the closet like I used to do, and taking those fucking quizzes all the time.
Toast
like,
in the closet?
What kind? Yeah, I don't know. But what kind of princess would you be in the Disney? And then it's like, oh, she got Rapunzel. And then, oh, yeah, that is so me. Like, I think I just hate Facebook in general, B-Word.
Fair, man. Fair.
Sorry, I think this is just a vent session.
No, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Your Facebook polls reminded me of the ads in games on your cell phone. Like I'm sitting there taking a pooper, and I'll be playing like some solitaire or some dominoes or something, and all of a sudden there's this game where it shows you what levels you have to complete, but then you download the game and it's something entirely different.
It's not even close. Yeah, like that does piss me off. It's like, hey, play this, or there's always like only 7% of people can figure this level out, and then you download it and it's not even the stick figure shooting an arrow into his own face, right? Rude people are next. That's pretty self-explanatory. They fucking suck. After that, pedophiles, and I'm not saying they're not like they're high up, but they're not the highest because they're just people that I talk about more that piss me off. And the next 2 would be the Oregon Ducks. Their fans suck. I'm going to get into that later. And then number 1, surprise, surprise, the Golden Knights. Fuck the Golden Knights. FTGK for life. But B-Word, that is really right now how I live out my hatred. Like those things happen, and I do live around those things. Like I'm not going to put Prius drivers and stuff, even though they piss me off, because it can't make the top 10. And is it sad that I can actually like write these down and have an exact order?
No, it's just your preference, but it is what it is, man. Like you do you, boo boo.
I don't. My favorite is just your face during this whole thing it's like a smile but shaking. Like, okay, here we go.
I understand all of it.
That's
I mean, you make great points, but I just don't. I don't know, man. Like you're leading that train. The problem is that you're not only the engine car, you're also the caboose. So like,
oh, dude, I'm the whole train. I'm Dick my butt. The train
Absolutely.
just crashing the whole thing, dude. Well, with that, let's take a break and we'll come right back.
Bleach Bros podcast is proud to align itself with Jerky Pro, a beef jerky manufacturer established by military and paramilitary veterans.
Available in 3-ounce or 1-pound bags with great flavors such as honey glazed, teriyaki, red hot, apple cinnamon, original, peppered, sweet barbecue, and if you're ballsy enough, nuclear.
Be sure to use our promo code to get some of the best jerky on the market. Use Bleach Bros 5, all lowercase, to take advantage of this offer today.
Welcome back into Jake's Bitch Fest. The Bleach Bros podcast. Thank you, B-Word, for allowing me to write this rundown and go off as much as I want to. If you're still listening, thank you. Even if you are some of the people I'm talking about, figure out, get your shit together. But B-Word, I wanna introduce you to a new quick game, and it's very easy because I don't want to do a lot of rules. I didn't want to get crazy with it, but the game is Hate or Great.
Okay.
And what I'm hoping from this is I knew your list, as we talked about, was not going to be that big or great. So I'm going to just start naming things, and I want you to just rapid fire back, say hate or great. And I'm going to sort of jot down a few of them, and then we're going to get into why you actually hate those things if you say hate or great, and then we can talk about that.
Let's do it.
So are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. Grapefruits.
They're okay. They're great. Well,
Don't,
the problem is I don't hate them, and they're not great. Like, I like grapefruit. Okay. I don't think they're great.
God damn it, B-Word, already. It's question 1.
I know.
And you're just already, oh, God, this is going to be harder than I
thought. If you told me, all right, guacamole, I hate guacamole.
Okay. See, why couldn't you have had that on your list earlier?
Because I didn't know.
Fuck you. All right, Hillary Clinton.
Oh, hate.
Bill Clinton.
I don't hate him, but he's not great.
Okay. I'm skipping it. Okay. EDM music.
I don't care. I don't listen to EDM music, so I don't. This is a terrible game if you're looking for one-word answers. I
want one-word answer because I want you to decide. I want you to actually go, okay, I have to say hate or great.
Okay, so if I have to say hate or great, then I'm going to hate Bill Clinton and I'm going to hate EDM music.
Okay. Popsicles.
Hate.
Lube.
Great.
Finger in the butthole.
My finger or my butthole? Or my finger in my butthole?
You just have to say. Nope, you have to say, and then we're going to talk about it. Stinky pussy.
Hate.
The little pieces of toilet paper left in her vag when you go down a finger.
See, I want to hate it. But on the other hand, I really also focus on it too. And it's like that realism type art. Where you
focus on it? Why?
Because I
realism art.
Because I need to know where to avoid. So I don't know, man. Let's go.
See,
hate.
I'm thinking it's actually that means she's wiped and she's trying to be clean. So
okay, well, I'm still gonna go with hate.
Okay, 2-ply toilet paper.
Great. I'd prefer 3-ply, because it is comfy. But
bidets.
Great.
Bananas.
Great. I like bananas.
Lobster.
Great.
Nacho cheese on your nipples.
Hate.
Body hair.
Great.
Cats.
Hate.
Emma Stone.
I don't have a problem with Emma Stone. Great.
Horror movies.
Great.
Creature features.
Great. Yeah, because I don't have a problem with them. I am not as much of a fan of them as you are. I'll watch them.
Atari video games.
Great.
PC video games.
I don't play them, so I guess I'll have to say hate.
Okay. So with that B-word, since we went through a bunch of them, I want you to think back on some of the ones that you hated, which we know Hillary Clinton's in there, and you can get into that one if you want. But the main one on my mind is finger in the butthole. And why do you hate it? And I want to know, one, why you said hate to it. What were you thinking of? What was the reason for the hate?
I think that there are a few things here that are very important. Number one, if it's my finger and not my butthole, I don't hate it. If it's if it's my butthole and anybody's finger, whether it be mine or somebody else's, I hate it. The reason why I have to think about that is because the first thing that came up is being raped in our Discord, and I don't want Robert the Bear to think that I like anything to do with anything of my butthole.
But maybe he's thinking of you putting your finger in his butthole.
Yeah, but no, I don't like that either. So that's where I had to default to hate on this one.
All right. So why do you hate EDM music?
Because you told me to classify either hate or great, and I was nonpartisan, but I don't listen to it.
Do you listen to it though?
I don't listen to it.
Would you go to a festival?
No, dude. If I was 20 years younger or 10 years younger, I might, but no, not now.
I would love to see you. Like, I hope one day the show gets big enough and we have to go to Coachella. And like, I'm making you wear pasties and I'm wearing like a Speedo thong only.
You're just going to make me lick a whole bunch of stamps. And next thing you know, I'm going to be tripping out with stoned.
Yeah, dude, it would be awesome. We could do shrooms and get naked and just run around and then talk about fingers and buttholes with Robert the Bear because he's coming. He's coming on that RV tour trip.
I hope he's not coming anywhere.
Oh. All right. Well, sorry, my game sucked. I was really hoping you were going to categorize them, so that was a bust for me. I'm very sorry, B-word. So I'll get into something that I know you're going to have more input on, and this is sports. Sports franchises, teams, fandoms, whatever you want. What are your biggest hatreds in them? And it doesn't just have to be the team. It could be something about a sport. Why? Anything. I want to know some of the hatred for you with sports in general.
In the NBA, I hate the term load management. I think that is so stupid. I think that, you look back at the 90s and you look back at the 80s or the 70s, and you had players that played longer games or more games than the current players. And I just think, now granted, there's more on the line here because I think that you're talking about shoe deals and endorsements and all that sort of stuff where people can legitimately make more money than what they're being paid. Then go be an influencer. Stop being an NBA player. Just go make money somewhere else. So I hate load management. I hate the fact that rules take forever to change. So like, for instance, if something happens in the NFL where you see that there's an issue, whether it be like a catch or a non-catch or some sort of call, and they just allow that same rule to play out throughout the year, like this past year when defensive people would hit the quarterback and they just instantly called roughing the quarterback. I just don't like it. You should be able to rationally fix that at least by the next game. And it just doesn't seem to be doing that. So I would say that those are two examples of things that I just don't like when it comes to sports.
I'll jump on your basketball thing. I think basketball games are too long. Like I've always said, it's like bad sex. Only the last 2 minutes matter, and black guys are better at it than me. But that is my truth behind basketball. You can essentially make it an and one game and have it, be one quarter, and I'd be satisfied. I don't agree with you on the rule thing because I think there are different leagues that implement them better. Like baseball is an example where they use it in the minors and then they try it out and see if it's even going to be worthwhile to move up. And two, like hockey, if they need to make a rule change, they do it pretty quick. The other reason, though, is B-word because I don't want them to, like the NFL, just straight up changes the rule and then we hate it all year and it takes another year to change out. So I don't know. I don't agree with that one. I will say I hate soccer, and I'll say it out loud because it's fucking boring. And the Americans, the MLS, it's just sloppy soccer, dude. It's not enjoyable to watch. It can end in a tie. It takes too damn long. The one thing I love about it, though,
Ted Lasso.
If I lived in Europe, Ted Lasso. Okay, so a couple things I love about it. One, they sing at each other when they're pissed, though.
Yeah.
Like, it is so great that you can sing it. Like, because Portland's song is You Are My Sunshine, which there's a cool backstory of why. But like, like West Ham United from the movie Green Street Hooligans, amazing flick if you've never seen it. But they sing the song I've Been Blowing Bubbles. And it's just really cool how the whole fandom's behind it because they're singing like Sinatra songs at each other just to make you feel like shit. And that's pretty fucking ballsy.
Yeah.
I do enjoy that. Like I said, if I lived in another country, I'd probably enjoy soccer a little more. But it's just, I don't know, it's just too slow. Like it's just, there's just not enough.
Do you feel like softball kind of carries that same tread where they do all the chants in the dugout?
No, I love softball, though. I love me some thick booty girls hitting balls over a fucking fence, dude.
Softball girls and volleyball girls? Get out of here, dude.
All right,
get out of here.
What do you like better, volleyball girls or softball girls?
That's a good question. I think I'd say softball girls because they're a little thicker on the bottom. I mean, now granted, volleyball players spend more time on their knees, so I guess it just depends on what you're looking for. But
yeah, but you ever want to tell a joke to a volleyball girl? Just say, you want to hear a joke that'll knock your tits off, and then you always go, "Oh wait, you must have already heard it."
Yeah, shit. Huh?
All right, so let's transition to this then. What are the biggest teams you hate? Like, I'm sure you have a list.
I do. So all of the NFC, but if I were to put those in order, I absolutely hate the Philadelphia Eagles, number 1, the New York Giants, number 2, the Washington Commanders, Redskins, whatever you want to call them, number 3. Outside of the NFC East, I hate the 49ers. I hate everything about Bay Area teams. And really, it goes back to one of your hatred things is that when people wake up to find out that their team's actually doing okay, it's as if they never left, and they take over as if they watched everything and knew everything about every player, which they don't, because the only thing they're being fed is what the mainstream media is telling them. And that just really bothers me. So everything about Bay Area teams, I will put a caveat in there. I can kind of care less about the San Francisco Giants, but I don't hate them. I think that they're whatever. But every other Bay Area team, we're talking the Warriors, we're talking the Sharks, we're talking the 49ers, everything. I just hate everything about the Bay Area teams. The only thing else that I really just don't like is I don't like certain players in teams. So like, I'm not a fan of Aaron Rodgers. Like, I respect Aaron Rodgers because I feel like he's a great talent and he's obviously accomplished things. I just don't think of him as the great leader as you would like a Peyton Manning or a Tom Brady. And for a long time, I hated Tom Brady because Tom Brady was the best. And I think you're supposed to hate the best until they prove that they're the best. And so I don't know that I can hate him as much now.
I could see that. So yeah, like, I hate Duck fans because I feel like they're just like their mascot. They fly south where real football actually exists in college. Whenever it's not warm enough up here. And what I mean by that with quotations is when it's not going right. They also care more about being cheerleaders than actual football players, in the sense that, look at how many uniform changes they have. I've never seen a team care more about a glitter fucking helmet than actually what they're going to put on the field. And I understand they had some success and stuff, but I always said they would never get a national championship, and lo and behold, I'm right. Same thing with the Golden Knights. They put slut dust on a jersey. I can go through that list for fucking ever, as we know. But it's funny because, like, I'm a diehard hockey fan, as you know, and I hate Ryan Reeves. I hate Ryan Reeves with a passion. He was on the Golden Knights. That's where I really grew my hatred for him. Now he's on the Minnesota Wild. But it's funny to me because he seems like a guy that I would like. Because I've always said I like the assholes. I like the Mayweathers. I like people in the world like Draymond Green. I love him. I think it's hilarious what he does. I loved Lambeer. He was my favorite basketball player growing up. Elbows to the face. Like, I like that asshole goon and stuff, right? There's just something about Ryan Reeves that rubs me the wrong way. The way he plays and how dirty he is, that really pisses me off. Right. It wasn't just that he was a Knight. I hated him before that. But I agree with you. I don't hate players as much as I hate teams. I will say, though, if you associate yourself with a team, I can hate you more. Like, Joey Harrington was the quarterback of the Ducks. I remember when I met him, I walked up and told him he sucked because nobody thought I would. And he just laughed and he goes, Lions or Ducks? And I said, Ducks. He goes, makes sense. And like, I thought that was the coolest response to me. And he just turned around and went on his fucking day, right? Because, I mean, fuck me.
Right.
Which makes sense. But I don't hate great players. I don't agree with that statement where you're saying, like, prove to me that you're great. I've always loved Tom Brady. I don't care what people say about him. I always think he was amazing. I was a bigger Peyton Manning fan when they were like sort of against each other. I was hoping Peyton Manning would be the GOAT, but I was proven wrong.
But I felt like Belichick was greater than Brady. And so I thought the reason why Brady was great was because of Belichick. He proved that otherwise. I'm not trying to take anything away from Belichick, but once Brady proved that he was the best without Belichick, I had to acknowledge he was the best at that point. And so for me, that's what I'm talking about, is I couldn't hate on him for his accomplishments any longer. I had to give him his flowers.
It's weird to me too, and I think you'll agree with me on this, that fans that cause more hatred than the actual team itself. It's very rare that you're like you said, there are players that you hate, but it's very rare that the team is the actuality behind it, unless it's like a rival or something, right?
Right.
Like the Golden Knights different, the long list there for me, but it's like also their fans also like really contribute it to me.
Right.
Like Duck fans, I didn't really have a problem with the Ducks until I lived here, and then I was around so many fucking fans like them, like really like this, because I love the Beavers. I love that little brother syndrome. I like all that. I don't hate the Lakers as much as people do up here for the Lakers, like Blazers, like, you know, and it's not just because I'm not the biggest basketball guy. I watch a lot of basketball. I go to a lot of games, but it is the point. Like, it's not as important to me. Growing up, I hated the Cowboys. But now that, you know, I had to do the dad thing and become an Arizona Cardinals fan, Cards for life, due to how the Commanders handle everything in life. That fucking bonfire.
You should have waited 3 years.
I just couldn't, dude.
I know.
And here's the thing. I'm going to hate myself for that. I'm going to hate myself for that forever. I know I will. But I'll end it on this part. Is there anything else about sports teams, fans, in general, refs, anything that you hate in the sports category?
I mean, I think I hate fans more than I hate teams, if that makes sense. Okay. I think the fans influence my passion for the hate of the team, like specifically for Bay Area teams. Like, I just don't like Bay Area teams because of their fans. I don't like the Eagles because of their fans. I would much rather root for, like, if it's a rivalry in the NFC East, I would much rather root for the Giants or the Commanders over the Eagles. And I don't care if it impacts the Cowboys just because I hate the fucking Eagles. There's the one saying that's in the Big Lebowski. It says, I hate the fucking Eagles, man. And I know he's talking about the butt rock band that you like to talk about, but I equate that to the Philadelphia Eagles, and fuck the Eagles.
I gotcha. So speaking of butt rock, let's get into what do you hate about the opposite sex? And this might get a little touchy here. And it might be one of those things where you're going to cop out going, you know, there's not much, but I mean, like, in reality, are there like stereotypes out there that just cause you to like just be angry at the opposite sex at time? And I mean, here's the thing too, and I'll give you an out on this. You can also say what you hate about men, because we do actually believe in two genders here. So what do you hate about women first, and then what do you hate about men?
So let me put it this way. Generically, I don't think that I hate women, but
well, yeah, we don't hate women, but there's, like I said, stereotypical.
But there are stereotypes or things within society that I really don't like. I hate the fact that us growing up, we had to register for whatever branch of the military we were going to go into, should we have gone to war, and women didn't. I hate the fact that women always talk about that they make 77 cents on the dollar, but when you actually break down like what careers men work and then also what careers women choose to work, there's a significant difference there. I don't like the fact that you can blame your gender for something, like, and this goes for both men and women, but I don't like that at all, because you want to talk about, well, you don't want to be, you know, categorized in a specific way, but then you go off and you do everything in that category. Like, you find all these women who, and again, this is generic, you find all these women who find more pleasure from pimping themselves out on social media or OnlyFans, but then they talk about how cruel and how gross men are. Like, you put yourself out there for these types of men to encounter you. Like, at some point you have to understand that when your finger is in your eye and you're saying, my eye hurts, my eye hurt, my eye hurts, my eye hurts, like, remove your finger from your eye. Like, just stop doing that. So I guess there are some things like that. I also don't like chivalry. Like, I love chivalry. Like, let me say that, but I don't like chivalry today because I feel like it's not appreciated in a manner that it should be. And if it is demanded, it takes away the want to be able to be chivalrous, if that makes sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense. See, like, you made a good point, like, because like there's that argument back, like, you know, then men shouldn't be gross, right? And it's like, I agree with that. I agree with that statement. Like, you know, like, if she's dressed provocatively, it doesn't mean you go rape her. However, everybody in the world will always treat somebody differently based on different circumstances. So if a homeless guy is on a bus and he's staring at a woman, she's gonna be like, ugh, weird. But if a really successful guy in a business suit staring at her, it's okay. It's those same sort of caveats. See, the one thing I hate about both sexes, and I'm start with women, is the roles they've created for themselves that they don't want to live within. And then how men, the roles we've created for ourselves that we have to live within. And what I mean by that is that there are roles created by women in generalities, right? That women should be this way and then men should be this way, but then they don't like it when those things are actually happening or they're on the outside of the spectrum. Vice versa with men, that men can't cry. Like we grew up like you have to be this way and you have to act this way and you have to be chivalry and you have to make, and there's a lot of those things and those are shifting, but that's really what caused like toxic masculinity and everything is men.
Yeah.
Men in general caused it. It just got pointed out.
Right.
I'm also sick of the opposite sex, mainly women blaming men for everything, and then vice versa, men not taking responsible for anything. So everything I'm going to say, the hatred is going to have the counter effect on the opposite end of that, I guess.
I hate the word mansplaining.
Okay.
I think it's stupid.
Is that all you had on that?
Well, I mean,
did you want to mansplain it for me?
Yeah, I'll mansplain it. I hate that when things come up that are typically blamed for men, if men try to explain what they're trying to do, maybe, either trying to subvert the blame or trying to say, hey, it wasn't, with that intention, it comes across as mansplaining. I also hate when women say, and I think it's kind of funny a little bit, but every problem is rooted with men. You have menstruation, mental illness, hysterectomy, gynecology. Like, I just think that that's kind of funny when you say that, but then they blame men for all of their problems because of it. It's like, okay, I understand the play on words, but are you really just blaming the other sex because, you're a bleeder?
Right.
Like, come here, you little ketchup bottle. Let me give you a hug. Like, what's going on here? I just don't understand it.
I hate, that brings the next one. I hate hypocrisy. And I hate, the big one for me is I hate that men are stupid and women are crazy. And what I mean by that is I'm not saying all men are dumb, but we're dumb in areas that we shouldn't be. Mm. Like, it's so funny when you're hanging out with your bros. Like, there's two types of moments, right? It's like you're drinking with your bros or hanging out or whatever, and you're like talking about something that happened with your wife. And of course, it's like, well, fuck that. Like, you know what I mean? Whatever. But it's like, if you actually like think about the situations, like, I was probably wrong. I was probably a dick. There was probably something that I did in that situation to not make it well either. Vice versa. I hate the opposite in that women are crazy, that there's no, and like I said, I'm not saying all women are crazy, but there are those moments you look back and you're like, wow, like really, like I'm being yelled at. And then, there's a reason behind it. And I don't know. They're just, those two things I've always found funny, that the quote is true. But there's levels of it, of how you actually live by it. Like, stereotypes happen for a reason, right? Because they're actual reality behind it.
Right.
And so there's a reason those sayings like fuck around and find out exist. The crazy hot matrix exists. That men are fucking knuckle draggers still, because we are. But I don't know. I mean, like, I adore my wife. I love my wife. I love that she's a woman. I love that we're different. But there are times that I'm like, fuck, like Dennis Leary says, fuck, what I wouldn't take a dick in the ass for to not have to deal with this right now. Or how I could just marry B-word and have sex with a dude for the rest of my life and have that same actuality behind it. I don't know. That's an interesting thing. I wasn't trying to open up this conversation to be like, oh, fuck, like women bashing or anything like that. It wasn't. I wanted to be able to open up about those little things to sort of to bring us to this next one, B-word, because I think this might be a little therapy session. It really depends on how it goes, but what do you hate about me? And what I mean by that is growing up, like anything, but also with this show, because we've worked pretty close together now over the time. And we've had ups and downs like any relationship. There are moments that we have, but I'm, you know me, I'm all about everything being out in the open and talking about it. I have no fear of that.
Right.
And so I wanted to know if there is anything that we can, vent out about.
I have to admit, man, I don't hate anything about you. And that's not a cop out. That is not a cop out.
God damn it, this sucks.
But if I wish for things to change, sometimes I think that you could look at the task at hand and realize that we have to accomplish this regardless of the fact that you hate it, and just get it done. And sometimes you have to, like, not calling you a toddler, okay? But sometimes you
Yeah,
have to do
no,
that
do it.
toddler tantrum where you're like, fuck this, I hate this, I'm taking my fucking toy and going home. And I'm just like, okay, eventually he'll stop crying and he's going to realize he's hungry and he's going to come back and eat his food. And sure enough, that's what happens. And then you eat your food and all of a sudden you're like, well, I'm fine now. I'm really sorry. And I'm like, okay, it's fine. Let's go. Let's move it. Let's just get it done. So I will say, like, that's just a pet peeve of mine. I know that, like, a bigger pet peeve of mine is, like, if I ask you a question or I tell you something, like, eventually I want an answer to it. And I know that you're eventually going to get to it. But I find it so funny, dude, that sometimes I'll be like, hey, like, I need your recipes as an example. And like, we have Patreon. I need your recipes. I need 2 recipes. I need it by this date. And then you're like, I'll get it to you. And nothing. And I'm like, okay, I know that these recipes are coming eventually. And like, it's the day before I told you I need them. And you're like, well, what the fuck, man? What? I'm like, Jesus Christ, Jake, just give me the fucking recipes, motherfucker.
I love that moment because there is sometimes, knowing how an asshole I am sometimes, where I do it on purpose too, and you know it. Where I'm just like, fuck it, I'm not even going to send him anything now because I took my toy home and said, fuck
you
it.
Fucking toddler.
I do. Okay. No, I agree with that. I agree. And cause I mean, and in my defense, B-word.
No, there's no defending that, you fucking fuck.
No, there's defense. In the sense that I think that people could always just flick a mic on and do it. Cause we've seen it. It's like we've talked to people like, oh, if you give Jake a script, he's going to fuck it up. But if you just let Jake go, he's like fucking gold. But then I have one take. I don't have 19, right? I can just do it once and then I'm done. Mine is for you, B-word.
Lay it on me.
Is the fact when I feel like we've had an argument that I feel like you never still feel like you're wrong.
Well, that's because
like,
I'm not.
At the end, this is what I'm fucking talking about right here. This is what I'm talking about. Where it's like, I'm like, okay, we've had a moment, we fought, we're over it, let's do this. And then it's just like in the back of my mind, the way you're talking to me, I'm like, this motherfucker still has no. He still thinks that he's exactly correct. There was nothing wrong on his end.
This is why women are crazy, is because they act like fucking you.
Shut the fuck up. That is bullshit. I'm not even tucking my dick right now. I'm sitting with it out. My pants are undone too because I bought too tight of pants like a moron today.
No, it's funny because most of the arguments that we've had, you're arguing with your goddamn self. Like, I remember coming home, and I don't even remember what fucking spurred this argument that we had.
Oh, I remember this day where you hung up on me, you asshole.
Well, I hung up on you because you were fucking yelling, and I'm just like, I'm yelling back at you, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm yelling about. And so I hang up, and I'm just like, whatever. And you call me back, and like, that was a button that I didn't know that I could push on you, was to hang up on you. And instantly, like, that was the end of it. You fucking rage called me back, and you're just yelling, and I'm like screaming at you. I'm like, I don't know what you're mad about. What the fuck? And then your wife got involved, and she said, you're wrong. And I listened to your wife's determination on this. So when she said that you're wrong, and I didn't hear you say that I'm wrong, then I just went with your wife.
I know. No, and here, but behind the curtain, I want people to know that, like, not everything has to be golden, like roses and whatever that stupid saying is, right?
Yeah.
Like, we argue like everybody else, and it's not that like we ever had that moment like we are going to end the show or anything, because we try to work through our problems, and it's good to communicate, right? This is why hate's important. B-word, you got to let it out sometimes,
you do,
so you can figure it out. So I'm glad you told me, because I apologize again. And I'm
not wrong.
Trying to be better.
So you're not looking for an apology with me.
God damn it! Fuck you. Suck my dick, dude. But no, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope this opened up people's just like, I don't know. It was just an easy episode. It needed to be one of those things before you get on the plane. You can think about this stuff. So when you get on the plane, you look and you go, fuck that guy trying to put that bag that's too big above his head. And fuck this person for getting in their seat too early. And fuck the guy crinkling something behind my seat. And that kid kicking. And that person screaming. And the person that served me the bad tequila at the bar. And fuck Manchester. And fuck. I hope all these little things, like, I hope that I send you on a trip with all these little moments, B-word, and you let the hate flow.
We'll see what happens.
Well, with that, thanks for all the dirty talk, and come back and get sanitized, guys.